Hey everyone, this is Derek, and Dan Ahern will be coming on here in just a bit to kind of share some of the presenting responsibilities. So I want to welcome everyone to our session today for the 2023 virtual conference, Road and Surveys, Tips, Tricks, and New Functionality. We gave this some thought when we got started about what we wanted to show, and what we decided to do was kind of go back over the last 2 or 3 releases and just kind of gather up the some of the new enhancements that a lot of people, releases come and releases go, and if you're not keeping up, sometimes all the new stuff can kind of fall by the wayside. And so we just want to be sure everybody was aware, and so we're going to talk about some new enhancements in different versions. We kind of grouped them in different categories, for example, terrain, modeling, geometry, like that. So we're got a lot of material. I'm going to cover about half of it, and then Dan's going to come in and cover the other portion. Now, again, we're kind of limited on time. Like I said, got a lot to present. So we want to just remind everybody that for a complete list of all the different versions and the enhancements, as well as compatibility requirements, the READMEs are available online at docs.bentley.com. So we just want to encourage everybody to get a full list of all the enhancements. Make sure you go out there and you hit the READMEs. Okay, just real quickly, we are going to be showing, I mentioned we're going to be showing some different enhancements from different versions. One of the versions that we're going to be showing enhancements from is our upcoming 2023 release, which will be out in Q3. So because we haven't released it quite yet, we do need to kind of give a disclaimer. And so because we are, again, it's not released, so we're kind of looking out, projecting, forward-looking in what's coming. So just want to make sure you read the disclaimer there. Certainly we have every plan to release that in Q3, but we don't want you to make any purchase decisions on any forward-looking, technology or that kind of thing. All right, let's take a look at some of the enhancements, and we've kind of grouped these under something we call general updates. Now, you'll see here as we move through in the upper right-hand corner of the different title slides, it'll have the release version, and so that'll tell you exactly what version this particular enhancement was in. So the first one under general is the export SHP. We added the ability in 2022 R2 to export a shapefile from directly within the OpenRoads Designer products. Now, if you go back to our legacy products, Power Geopack, Power En-ROADS, etc., you'll remember back then those versions of V8i, we bundled Bentley Map in with the Power products, and which, of course, Bentley Map gave everyone the ability to export shapefiles. When we went to OpenRoads, we didn't bundle that anymore, and so that functionality was lost. So this has been something our users have asked for a while, if we would add the ability back in to export shapefiles directly, and we have done that. So here's a quick example here. You can see here that I've got just a file here. I'm going to select a guardrail, and you can kind of see all the different item type data, pay item and station and offset, all the other types of engineering and business data on this particular guardrail. Now, I got this new option, export to shapefile. It's a real simple tool. You just select the items that you want to export, so you could federate your data. You could put your guardrail in one shape file, your traffic markings in another one, your signs in another one, however you want to do it, or you could put the whole project and export it out to a shape file. Now, what we've done here is just to show you what we've done. We've referenced that shape file back in, and when we do, and we actually look at the shapefile, you can see all the metadata is there in the shapefile that was in the original DGN. And so again, this is something new that's in 2022 R2. Our next update or enhancement that we want to talk about if we can go to the next slide, there we go. In 2023, which is the upcoming release, we've made a change to the properties dialog. You can now set the maximum number of elements that can be displayed in the properties dialog. Now, why did we do this? Well, when we talk to users, they typically like to run with their properties dialog open and docked, which is perfectly fine. But if you ever do that and you select a large amount of elements, it can sometimes degrade your performance. And so what this does is allows you to set that maximum value to a lower number. So we'll take a quick look at this video and show you how this works. You can see here I'm in the Explorer settings dialog. The default is 5,000 elements. So if I don't change that, nothing really changes. So here I'm going to go in and just put everything into a selection set. And of course, it does what it always does. You know, you get it has to, compile all that information and display it in the properties dialog. Now let's go back to the Explorer settings and let's set this to a lower number. So let's just take off the zeros and we'll leave it at a maximum number of 5. Now notice if I go back in and select that again, now you just get a message in the property dialog that says the maximum number of 5 elements is exceeded. So it's just, again, if you go over that number, it just won't display anything. And it keeps you, again, it keeps you from having to do a lot. Now I want to say one thing about this. This doesn't stop you from displaying complex elements. So for example, if I select a terrain, as you know, this terrain here has about 18,000 points and about 1,300 features and break lines. Notice for the purposes of selection, though, it just sees it as one element. The same thing would be true with other civil objects like a corridor. A corridor contains a lot of different information, but for the purposes of selection, it just sees it as one element. So that's another nice general enhancement here. Another new thing that we've added in the 2023 release is now the ability to attach a local BIM file as a reference using the attach iTwin tool. Now, you've been able to, in the past, reference an iTwin through the iCloud, or I'm sorry, through the cloud. But of course, that takes a lot of setup and everything. And people had asked for the ability just to be able to reference a local BIM file. And with our new export to IFC tool, you're actually going to have a BIM file created locally for you. And that's a nice little way to test it, is to reference it directly to a DGN for review. So let's take a look at how this works. It's very simple. I'm just in a blank file right here. I just go up to the attach tools and you've got attach iTwin. You can see here the first icon just says attach a local BIM file. And so I'm just going to go out here to an IFC staging directory where I've got a BIM file created locally. And I just basically turn on what I want to see and say apply. And it references that iTwin for me just from my local box. Again, everything is there. You can see the 2D and the 3D. But of course, what's even better is it's not just the graphics, but if we zoom in here and select one of our civil objects, for example, we select this shoulder here, you'll notice all the, again, the engineering, the business information, the pay items, all of that types of information shows up in there as well. So it's a nice way, if you've got a local iTwin, you can get access to it very quickly and review it, analyze it, or just check it to make sure everything's looking good. Okay, let's turn to the next one here. And this is something that we added in the 2022 R2 release, which is the ability to import data into a DGN directly from an ARCGIS database. Now, one quick caveat with this, if we can go to the next slide. Now, the thing here we got to remember is that we've always been able to bring in information from an ArcGIS database, but you had to do it through a shapefile. You know, the shapefile was the transfer mechanism to get data from an ArcGIS database into MicroStation or OpenRoads. Now you don't need to do that anymore. You can connect directly to the ArcGIS database and import that data directly without having to go through a shapefile. Now in 2022 R2, this was available as a key-in only. And I think we've got it on the next slide here. There's the key in. It's just MDL load Bentley ArcGIS.dll, and then the command was feature service import. So in the 2022 R2 release, it was only available via key in. In the 2023 release, which you'll see on the next slide, we've actually added it to the interface as part of a new geospatial context workflow. And so in the 2023 release, you're going to see a brand new workflow called Geospatial Context. And basically what it does is incorporates all of the different GIS tools, whether you're connecting to a feature service or whether you're connecting to a map service. All of the tools are right there in front of you. Now, the problem pain here in the past has really been the difficulty for non-GIS users really to know what tools are available. You know, if I'm I'm designing a road or a bridge or whatever, I may not be that familiar with GIS tools, and so knowing where the tools are and what kind of information is available to me, this just kind of brings it all into one place and makes it much easier. I think we've got a video here showing this. So here is the 2023 release. You can see the new geospatial workflow. You do have to have a coordinate system attached, of course, so it knows where that data is to be situated. I'm going to turn on Bing Maps here, and I'm just going to zoom in. Keep in mind that the extents of your view is also going to control the extents of the information that is brought in. So I just want to bring in some information here. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to connect to a Esri feature service. When I connect to an Esri feature service, it's going to, to a feature service, it's going to bring the data in as vector data. So that data that you're looking at right there is actually vector data, which means I can go look at the properties. You can see all the metadata came across into the DGN. So all of it is accessible right there for me. So that's, you can do that if you're connecting using a feature service. So let's clear that out. Now let's go look at using a map service. Now the difference with a map service is it will bring it in as raster data. So here I'm just connecting to a map service. Now the difference here is it will create a local map service file for me. And then you can attach it through Raster Manager. And so you can see here we've created that file, attached it through Raster Manager. And again, the only difference here is instead of being vector data, now this data is raster data. Okay, moving on. The next thing that we've got up that we've added to the 2023 release is a new export to IFC tool. Now we've had a tool in the past called Export to IFC. We've actually renamed that tool. We've called it now Corridor to IFC because that's really all that it did. But it is really being superseded by this new tool called Export to IFC. The problem or pain that we really had that we're trying to deal with here is in the past, you were kind of limited to exporting geometry and corridors. With this tool that we have or introducing in 2023, all of those limitations are now gone. Any element or complex object, it doesn't matter if it's a road object or drainage or rail or bridge, whatever it is, can be exported to IFC. Now, you can take them out as generic or just proxy building classifications if you want to, or you can give them, you can be very precise about their classifications through the use of item types. So in this video we have here, we're just kind of showing a project or a file that we have, and it's just a typical design. Now, if you look over there on the left inside the properties dialog, you'll notice the item type called IFC classifications, and there you can identify what version of IFC, the classification and type and everything. So that information or that item type can be pre-assigned through a feature definition, or you can just manually assign it to anything that you want. Here we're just export. Once we've got our data the way we want it, we want to export out to IFC. We just select the IFC version, give it the file name, and you can see we now are looking at this through an IFC viewer like BIM Vision, and you can see. So again, we can take it across as just generic building proxy, or we can be very specific with our classifications through the use of item type. So that tool is in 2023.